conference tables, and chairs, laptops, and whiteboards quickly. Business cards from American Express Open can give you buying power to help cover the big purchases you need to make when you need to make them. Find out how American Express cards and services can help prepare you for growth at open.com. When your business is construction and you get a big job that has to be done in record time, you need to get the ball rolling, which means all of a sudden you're looking to buy enough sheetrock and lumber, steel, and other materials quickly. Business cards from American Express Open can give you buying power to help cover the big purchases you need to make when you need to make them. Find out how American Express cards and services can help prepare you for growth at open.com.
There are indications that China and the U.S. are moving to resolve an incident that took place in the South China Sea. Chinese officials say they'll return an underwater drone they seized earlier this week. U.S. officials are still determining how and when they'll get it back. ABC's Louis Martinez has more from Washington.
Pentagon Press Secretary Peter Cook says the U.S. had secured an understanding for the return of the drone from China. Used for oceanographic research, the drone had been seized Thursday in plain sight of the crew of a U.S. Navy research ship operating in the South China Sea. The Pentagon had demanded that China return the drone, which it called a sovereign vessel of the United States. U.S. officials have been at a loss as to why China would spark an international incident over an unclassified drone that costs $150,000. Louis Martinez, ABC News, Washington.
In Indianapolis, the roof of a popular restaurant on Massachusetts Avenue collapsed this afternoon while workers and customers were inside. The roof of the Eagle in downtown Indianapolis collapsed, causing everyone inside to be evacuated. No reported injuries. This weekend marks 2 weeks since the deadly ghost ship warehouse fire in Oakland, California, and the investigation continues into its cause. Oakland resident Ken Houston says the fire has highlighted the problem of Oakland's high housing costs.
It takes this sad situation to address it, and it's been happening to us for years.
36 people were killed in the ghost ship fire. This is ABC News.
ADT presents what to consider when considering home security. An ADT sign is more than a sign. It's a line in the sand. On one side, your family. On the other, an uncertain world.
For over 140 years, more people have chosen ADT to help prevent crime than anyone else. Get ADT starting at just $28.99 a month.
Tested, trusted, proven ADT.
With 36-month contract for licensing and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
From the KMET Weather Center for Beaumont and the Pass area, we'll kick off the week with a sunny day, our high 50 with winds to 25 miles an hour. It'll be clear, cool, and breezy tonight, our low 38 with winds to 20 miles an hour. We'll have a sunny, windy Sunday, our high 54 with winds to 45 miles an hour. Sunny and continued windy conditions are expected Monday with a high 59. For Redlands, we'll have sunshine today, our high 54. For the Desert Cities, we'll have sunny skies at a high 59. I'm Rod Tanner for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
Hello, listeners. This is Christopher from The Christopher Show. Hey, if you missed one of our shows here at KMET, don't worry about it. You can go to our webpage, and that's KMET1490am.com. Go to the homepage, click on the SoundCloud tab, and hear any show anytime you want.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
And welcome. It's time for Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs here on KMET 1490 AM. And yeah, today's show almost sounds like a joke. A radio host called in from Las Vegas. His guest called in from Texas, and the other host is in somewhere in L.A. County. Welcome to the program. I tell you, you know how I am. I'm always on the road doing all kinds of things. Alex, how you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm fit as a fiddle and twice as squeaky.
Yeah, you're in a place of comfort at the moment.
I'm in my living room, kicking back.
Yeah. Well, we got all kinds of stuff, news to talk about during the third segment. During the first segment, we have a gentleman by the name of Chad Prather. Chad Prather is doing quite well on YouTube right now with his videos. And then during the second segment, we've got Niger Innis, and I'm actually in Las Vegas with Niger Innis, and we will get him on the air during the second segment, Niger Innis, for those of you who are not familiar with who he is, he's the National Spokesperson for the Congress of Racial Equality. He's a regular contributor to Fox News and very involved in the conservative movement and in the Tea Party movement, a part of the Tea Party. So we'll have him on during the second segment. Chad Prather, I looking at the videos, the number of hits and all that, he's always done well, but he had a video that came out called Protesting the Protesters, where he begins with essentially saying, all you protesters out there after the election, are you protesting liberty? Are you protesting Constitution? No, you didn't get your way. And it was a perfect start for an incredible video, and that's actually what led me to learn about his videos being out there, and I have since subscribed, and I suggest all you listeners do too. It's worth the viewing. And he's on the air with us right now. Chad Prather, welcome to the program.
It is certainly good to be with you guys. Merry Christmas. I hope you're ready for this holiday season because it is upon us.
Oh, Merry Christmas. And, yeah, I like that. You started with Merry Christmas. If you were going to say Happy Holidays, I would have climbed through the phone lines to choke you. Really appreciate your videos. And it's interesting because it's a no-nonsense, to the point. This is, type of style, but you also have kind of a comedic style, kind of a grin on your face the whole time. And it's a great delivery, but this Protesting the Protesters, is that the one that has done better than all of them? Is that the one that's really taken off of all of them?
No. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I've had a number of different videos over the last few years that have done really, really well, and some of them typically are pieces that go along with current events. I know I did one last year that really blew up big, and it was called Unapologetically Southern. And it was a time when people were really kind of coming against folks from the South and the heritage of the South and things. And
right.
I had gotten a message one day from somebody that said, well, we can hear your Southern accent, so we know you're ignorant. And I said, well, let me see if I can prove you wrong here in 2 minutes or less. So, I'm kind of the conservatives' Will Rogers, and I try to say as much as I can, as quick as I can in a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and get as much out as fast as possible. But, the Protesting the Protesters video was interesting simply because it just resonated with so many people because, flashing across the news every day were these people who were crying and hugging each other and looking for safe spaces. And you can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's like you're picking on somebody, but you can't make this stuff up. This is what was going on and has been going on in the country since November the 8th.
And the response was absolutely incredible out there. And what was even funnier, I shouldn't say funnier, but interesting about it is the response was what the other side, our side, is normally accused of being.
Sure. Everybody thinks that, and that's what was thrown back in my face. They said, oh, you guys protested whenever Barack Obama was elected. Maybe a minuscule of people had a voice somewhere in the street that held up a sign somewhere, but there was no burning, there was no looting, there was no trashing of neighborhoods, and there was certainly no one flashing across the media of mobs of people weeping into each other's arms as though Armageddon had hit unexpectedly. There was none
right.
of that. And so now, you look at this phenomenon, and even in recent weeks, now everybody's got to find something else to blame. Now it's Russian hackers and everything else. Everybody's got to be victimized. And that's what irritated me the most when I started this video.
Everybody else is to blame.
Yeah, everybody's got to be a victim. There's got to be something, it could not have happened unless somebody did this to us. And I'm tired of that mentality,
Well, when it comes to the political game, perception is everything. And so they try to create a perception that is ugly because it doesn't matter what the facts are as long as they can get that perception out there.
Well, you take what's happened here in the last couple of weeks. So now there's been this huge debate over the popular vote versus the Electoral College. Forget what we've done constitutionally now for over 200 years. I just did not feel good about the results of the election. So let's throw out, constitutional law. Let's forget about the way we've always done it because it just doesn't. I just don't like the results, so something must be afoot that is wrong. There's got to be a conspiracy theory or something of that nature that's happening, because how dare society choose to go against the way I feel?
Well, the liberal definition of unconstitutional
now, Alex, you've been listening to this. Did you have a question for Mr. Prather? You saw the video, right? The cowboy and the vehicle?
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, I'm just saying that the liberal definition of constitutional or unconstitutional is that which offends liberal sensibilities.
It's absolutely right.
That's it.
Absolutely right. And that was one of the big issues that I pointed out in that video. Was it so much now is what do we feel about things? You know, how do we feel our way into acting versus the other thing? You know, instead of life happening around us and results coming at us and reality coming at us, then I interpret my feelings in light of that. But we've reversed that process in society today, especially 21st century America, especially amongst millennials by and large, new millennials. Their idea is, if it doesn't feel good to me, then it must not be right. Because, in my opinion, so many of them have been handed everything. They've never heard the word no. They've never been disappointed. My generation's been scared to say no to their children. I put it out in the video. They want to get a trophy for everything. We give them participation trophies. They don't know how to handle disappointment. They don't know how to handle rejection. They don't know how to handle loss. And so the only thing they know how to do when that happens is to go off somewhere and hide with people of their same ilk and feel sorry for one another. And that it makes me really afraid, Douglas. It makes me really, really scared when I think about the future of this country if that's the mindset we're going to continue to follow.
951-922-3532 if you want to call into the show. And we are speaking with Chad Prather, YouTube sensation. I am broadcasting live from East Las Vegas Community Center in Las Vegas. Yes, we are a show in Southern California, Banning, but folks, I'm in Las Vegas at the moment. For those of you who've been following the program, you know that I've been working with the Congress of Racial Equality. We're working on getting Constitution and Civics classes into the inner cities. Pretty exciting program we're working on, and I'm out here to meet with Niger Innis, and he agreed to be on the program. So during the second segment, after the break, we'll have Niger Innis on the program. We are speaking with Chad Prather. And Chad, I noticed you have like this, I don't know if it's a comedy act that goes on the road. What is it that I saw that you do aside from YouTube videos?
We do that. You know, my forte for 25 years now, I've been a public speaker. Whether it's motivational speaking with humor or comedy. And so this year we did start the end of last year, we started a comedy tour. We call it the Kings of Cowtown. Of course, we're from Fort Worth, Texas, so Fort Worth is affectionately known as Cowtown. And so we called it the Kings of Cowtown tour. We did about 40 cities across the country this year. We're looking to do probably another 50 in 2017, so we're gearing up for that. And it's given us a great base. You know, I have, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 million or more followers on social media, and it gives us a great audience, and then that gives us an opportunity to go out there and spend time with the fans and friends and do a lot of things. So it was a wildly successful tour. 95% of the shows were sold out or oversold, which was exciting. And so, we just had a good time with that, and we're going to keep on doing that thing. And, it's not necessarily political. A lot of folks come out wondering if we're going to do political commentary or satire. And we really don't. We just want to make people laugh and have a good time with it.
Well, what began the YouTube journey that you have?
I was doing a television show. It was a travel television show, and it was with a fledgling network that is distributed through Dish Network today. And I was doing that TV show, and I had a production assistant. She said, you're often putting little humor videos directed at people locally on Facebook and social media. Why don't you start doing that on a broader scale? And this was probably a little over 2 years ago. And I said, I just don't think anybody's going to watch these videos. So we've got, somewhere in the neighborhood of 125, 130 videos that have been viewed over 1 million times, some of them as high as 90 and 100 million times. And so countless others in the high hundreds of thousands. So I was certainly wrong about people watching it, and it resonated with people. And the thing that I kept hearing people come back to me and say was I was saying the things that people were thinking, but they were afraid to say. And I made up my mind that I wasn't gonna preach, and I wasn't gonna get into these long diatribes. I was just gonna spend about a minute and a half to possibly 2 minutes on these videos, get it out as fast as I could so people wouldn't quit listening, and get as much truth in there wrapped in humor so that I could kind of deliver that sour pill sometime with a sweet flavor. And that's what I've tried to do, and folks have loved it. They've gravitated to it, and it's been one heck of a ride, man. We've just really enjoyed the doors that it's opened up and being able to meet folks like yourself, and really the opportunity for influence. I travel all over the country speaking to law enforcement, veterans, active duty military, first responders, a lot of folks like that you just appreciate and you want the opportunity to be able to say thank you to. And social media, YouTube, Facebook has really opened up the door for me to be able to do those things.
Well, it sounds like you do what you enjoy. And, I do a lot of public speaking myself. It's regarding the U.S. Constitution. But it sounds like you do what you enjoy. What's next, though? Are we looking at more from Chad Prather? Are we going back to the TV, maybe?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, Douglas, what I'm looking at doing, kind of thinking off the cuff, I'll always do the humor videos. I'll always put stuff out there that's pure pablum. But for every 4 videos that I'll do that's humor, 3 or 4, I'll always do one that's completely truth. Whether it's parenting, whether it's politics, whether it's how to navigate through depression and things like that, things that I have experience in and have a little bit of a voice in. And so I'll speak to people's needs in their lives on a serious note and kind of couch that in the humor. We're working on the YouTube channel now, looking for more and more subscribers, of course, but I'm actually kicking around the idea, and I want to talk to you sometime off the air. I'm kicking around the idea of a YouTube directed channel in my voice that says, how do you understand the Constitution? What are the layman's terms to the Constitution? Because it's amazing to me through this election process how many people really don't have an understanding. So much.
You got to come to my classes. You really notice that. I teach this.
You're definitely
and the thing is, I attract folks who are interested in the Constitution, and they are, if you want to use the term conservative, we want to use that label, and they don't even know. Matter of fact, my first book, because of that, is called 25 Myths of the United States Constitution, because we have been convinced of all these myths that just aren't right. And, every time the word democracy comes across out of a politician's mouth or out of some radio host or TV host's mouth, I just cringe. And one of the things I do in the classes I teach is I do teach it in a very layman manner, and I use a lot of allegories and metaphors to help people understand. And so it's definitely something I'd want to work with you, because I'm actually working towards doing videos myself. Right now, all the videos I have are basically of the show or little ones that I've done here and there. And it's definitely something we could talk about. For the audience, how do they find out more about you, and how do they tune into your videos? Let them know. Plug yourself.
Honestly, the easiest way, of course, I've got a website. It's chadprather.com or watchchad.com. They both send you to the same place. You can certainly get on YouTube and just do a search of Chad Prather. You're going to find me. If you search for me on Facebook, unfortunately, Facebook sets that limit of friends, and so you can't do any more. But you can follow and see first on your timeline. And I'm putting out, I'll put out a couple of videos a week. And I kind of wait for so to speak, I wait for the spirit to move me, and I don't want to just be talking to be talking. I really want to have an inspiration when I go out there and say what I say on whatever the topic may be, even if it's just straight humor. Sometimes I think the best therapy is just to put a smile on somebody's face, and we've tried to do that. But you can find me on the website, and and then find me on YouTube. Subscribe to me on YouTube. We put a lot of stuff out there, and having a lot of fun with it, and it's just been a great adventure.
Well, one of my frustrations as a constitutionalist and teaching this is the people that are interested in what I have to talk about have more gray hair than I do. And I've got 7 grandkids, so that says something. So when I came across your videos and I learned that you're a little bit younger than I am, it was kind of like, wow, all right, somebody who's younger. It's almost like anybody who's younger than half a century doesn't seem to get it. And for you to not only get it, but you're putting it out there. It's common sense. It's a Christian constitutionalist kind of way, and and it's been refreshing to watch your videos. And so I want to give you a big thank you for what you do, and keep up the good work, and we'll definitely stay in touch. And
Absolutely.
One last word to the audience before we go to break. Go ahead.
That's a great encouragement, Douglas. I do appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate having you on, too, and thanks for your time. And, folks, when we return, Niger Innis, the National Spokesperson for the Congress of Racial Equality, will be on the air with us, and we will be Skyping in. And with that, we're going to break. We'll see you right after the break.
You got a dent in your door, a scratch in your fender, or a scratch in your door and a dent in your fender. If you need auto detailing, if you need fire shooting decals on the side of your car, if you need a rally stripe right down the middle of your hardtop, I don't care what it is. The Patriots at AllStar Collision are the place you want to go. They're the only place to go. 522 Railroad Street in Corona. Web address allstarci.com to see all that they do and what they're all about. Phone number 951-279-9161. AllStar Collision, the kings of wreck and roll.
What's your constitutional IQ? Your quest to learn the Constitution can be fun for the whole family. Learn about the Constitution as you play the Constitution Quest board game. Learn more at constitutionquest.com. Help me fight the good fight. This radio program is funded by advertising dollars. So, if you are a business, add Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs to your business portfolio. If you are a listener, become a patron of the business's advertising on this program. Without advertising, your weekend dose of truth ends. With more advertising, Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs grows, and we will be on the way to win the battle to restore the Republic. To learn more, email us at constitutionspeaker@yahoo.com or visit douglasvgibbs.com.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Don't miss out on the free KMET smartphone apps. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Our records indicate you've been lied to. Welcome to the truth. Douglas V. Gibbs.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hi, this is Ed Hoffman, President Wholesale Capital Corporation, your direct mortgage lender. Real estate prices are still low, which means now's the time to buy your next home before they go up. Whether it's a home to live in, a vacation house, or an investment property, we can meet your mortgage financing needs to help you realize the next phase of your American dream. At Wholesale Capital Corporation, we make sure you get a loan that you can afford with terms that work for you. Wholesale Capital welcomes FHA buyers, conventional buyers, jumbo loan buyers, and we proudly help the U.S. military veterans take advantage of the zero down payment VA loan program. Nobody treats veterans better than Wholesale Capital Corporation. Seniors, if you're interested in creating an additional stream of income or just making your mortgage payment go away with a reverse mortgage, Wholesale Capital would love to help you. To speak with a loan officer who has your best interests in mind, call Wholesale Capital at 855-640-2020. That's area code 855-640-2020. Wholesale Capital Corporation, where we can close.
And welcome back. Time for the second segment of Constitutional Radio right here on KMET 1490 AM. Sean, could you throw out the phone number for everybody again if they want to call in?
Sure, everyone. That's 951-922-3532.
And Alex, we still have you, right?
I'm right here.
Okay. Good to see you, Alex. So how's the day going so far out there in the LA County? It's a little cold out there right now, isn't it?
It's chilly, but it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And
well, we got up here to Las Vegas, and it's actually a little bit of a chill in the air.
At my age, a beautiful day is a valuable thing, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. All right out here in Las Vegas, the reason why we're here is because we have Niger Innis with us. I'm actually out here to meet with him and get to know him a little better, but Niger Innis, national spokesman for the Congress of Racial Equality, Tea Party guy, and you see him often on Fox News. So for those of you who, matter of fact, I'm going to try to get this camera so we get us both there. There we go.
Get my beautiful mug in the picture.
There we go. Yeah, we got to get us both in here. But anyway, Niger Innis is in the room with me and on the air. Niger, it's great to have you. Thanks for spending the time with me on the show.
Doug, it's a pleasure hosting you out here in Las Vegas. We're right on the border of actually my hometown, which is North Las Vegas. We're very proud of our separate incorporated little city of North Las Vegas, which is about a hop, skip, and jump away from Las Vegas.
And now your work with the Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, your father's a chairman, national chairman since 1968. So you grew up around this organization.
Almost literally born in the organization.
And so it's an important thing to you. But as CORE has progressed and as we've gotten past the civil rights movement.
Progress is a rough word.
Well, I was going to say
How about evolved? I like that better.
But anyway, what we've seen is it's really kind of moved away from the militant kind of activism that it really had and needed really in the 50s and 60s, has moved into kind of an underground mode and now is reemerging in today's needs. Tell me a little bit about what we're trying to do first with Congress of Racial Equality from your point of view in the sense of growing this organization and getting back into really the fight for racial equality.
Well, Doug, as you know, Congress of Racial Equality is even older than my father's leadership, which has been since 1968. We were established actually in 1942 by a group of Mahatma Gandhi disciples.
Wow.
That saw what Gandhi did in pushing back against colonialism, British colonialism in India, but using passive resistance and nonviolence as a particular strategy.
Right.
And they incorporated that strategy here in the United States, and there was a group of Black and white students that were part of a group called the Fellowship for Reconciliation that came together and essentially started the Congress of Racial Equality. It's a funny story. Interestingly enough, one of the first things, we were started in 1942, and one of the first things that this group and its predecessor, the Fellowship for Reconciliation, was protesting was actually our entry into World War II.
Interesting.
And thank goodness we lost that battle because we needed to be in World War II to defeat the Nazis.
Yeah, that's almost a bit of irony there in a sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's because of the principle of nonviolence being so profound within the organization. But as soon as we lost that battle, we realized that the real battle was the battle to make equality a reality for African-American citizens that had been denied real equality since the Civil War in large parts of the country.
Well, now when we talk about the term equality and opportunity, equality at the start of the race, not necessarily equality at the finish line.
That's right.
And
that's a big difference.
We have the Black Lives Matter and the NAACP. They're really calling for equality and results rather than the equality and opportunity.
And what they're also calling for is for them to be the judge and arbiter and referee for what defines that equality at the end of the race.
Right.
Which usually benefits them.
Well, so they become the definers of what is right and wrong, and really, their moral standard is supposed to be the moral standard in a sense.
That's right. And that's quite different than us. What we believe in is exactly what you said. We believe and always have in equality of opportunity.
Right.
In fact, when my father came into power, it was a little bit of a change of direction for the organization because if you recall, the Congress of Racial Equality was kind of like the Marines. Like you said, we were very activist. We were kind of like the foot soldiers, the Marines of the Civil Rights Revolution. NAACP fought their battles largely in the courts. The Urban League fought their battles largely in corporate boardrooms, and Martin Luther King's organization, SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and the Congress of Racial Equality, we were the guys in the streets, and we tended to be a little bit more militant. Like you said, one of the most important programs we were engaged in was voter registration in the South, in Mississippi in particular, and that's where three of our martyrs, Cheney, Goodman, and Scherner, were assassinated by the Klan and members of the local government, tragically. And they became a cause celeb and, like I said, martyrs to the whole civil rights revolution. And there's this famous picture of actually Dr. Martin Luther King actually holding up their picture. But what my father realized, because he was a young pup in those early days, in the early 60s, in the Congress of Racial Equality, what he realized is that there were problems in the black community, problems such as negative self-image, lack of economic development, a growing dependency class within the black community, and a desire to promote entrepreneurship and economic development, that regardless of segregation and regardless of what the federal government was doing or would do, that we needed to solve on our own.
Right.
And so it was kind of like a throwback to the philosophies of Booker T. Washington, bootstrap conservatism that he ushered in when he came into power in 1968. And pretty much CORE has been moving in that direction ever since. One of our more important programs today, considering this is one of the big reasons that you
Alex, we just lost them. Take over, please.
Yeah, howdy. I'm listening to...
and we have an equality...
to Niger Innis speaking with Doug Gibbs. And what comes to my mind as they are talking is the duplicity of the left.
Yeah, one of the issues that we're dealing with today is what you hear this big debate about comprehensive immigration reform, and what we believe the key for our country, and it's not just for immigrants, but quite frankly, for Americans that have been here for generations, is assimilation.
Right.
Patriotic assimilation. And so one of the programs, in fact, we're broadcasting this radio show due to wonders of technology from one of our classrooms here in Las Vegas at the East Las Vegas Community Center, where we have a program called Join America. And it's like I said, what we practice is patriotic assimilation of immigrants and others that want to learn about our Constitution and learn about why the Bill of Rights is such a critical component of our Constitution. And of course, on Monday, we've got the Electoral College officially.
Been a lot
knock
of questions
on wood.
About that. Yeah, well, we've been talking about it on the radio show. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know we lost the audience for a little bit because I've been watching the screen and it had some times where it was having its difficulties. So I turned off the camera to give us more memory. Old computer, but it does the job normally. But Alex, you're out there in L.A. County, and you're listening to Niger Innis talk, and I'm sure you've got a question. What's your comments and question?
Well, my comment is that whatever we do when we deal with the left, we're dealing with duplicity. They just lie. For instance, the book review I'm going to be doing today, I've got a section on the crack powder cocaine disparity and the indignation that the racists use the difference between crack cocaine and powder cocaine to mass incarcerate young black men. And my research tells me that the entire distinction was raised by black congressmen who were extremely concerned for what crack was doing to their neighborhoods. They're the ones
It's interesting, Alex, and let me say this real quick for those of you who are new to the program. Alex Ferguson is my co-host. He's normally in the studio with me. He's at home because I'm in Las Vegas right now. But what's the name of the book that you've been reviewing each week on the program?
The War on Cops.
And it was Heather, what's her last name again?
Heather McDonald.
Heather McDonald. Well, he's been reviewing, going through that book bit by bit, and it's interesting because the black community comes up often when we're talking about what this book is saying.
Yeah.
But what's interesting what's really interesting is that what we've been seeing is, in many ways, the black community votes against their own interests.
Absolutely. There's
And they
no
get
question.
lied
And
to
by the
by
way,
the-
one of the things that we also, and Alex, good to hear you and be on with you. But one of the things that we also promote with the Congress of Racial Equality, certainly through the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, was an alliance between the police and the communities in
Right.
which they serve,
Mhm.
as opposed to this consternation and this adversarial relationship that unfortunately many of these so-called activist groups have with the police. We say the thin line between civilization and decency, and a mother being able to take her child out to the park,
Right.
or a small businessman being able to open up a business in the black community, are the police that prevent crime from going out of control. And I'm very curious to let Alex finish saying what he was saying about the black congressman, because I think I know what he's about to say, which is that it was black congressmen or black representatives that were honorably representing their communities and concerned about the devastation that crack cocaine was visiting on the black community, that pushed for higher sanctions and crime charges for crack cocaine dealing and possession, because of the devastation and the blight that it was bringing to so many communities. I know for a fact firsthand myself. I grew up in a very middle-class neighborhood, Strivers Row section of Harlem, which was a very upper middle class section of Harlem in the 1970s. And we got as devastated as anybody else by crack cocaine. By the mid 1980s, I had a doctor who had lived next door to me for years in a brownstone for years, and a librarian that had lived next to the right of me for years. But by the mid 80s, across the street, we had a crack house and a crack den, and an abandoned building. And so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Alec, but I suspect that's where you were going in terms of the so-called disparity issue.
Well, the disparity was in the quality of the experience. For instance, Congressman Alton Walden from Queens said that we must act for those of us who are black. This self-inflicted pain is the worst oppression we have known since slavery. Let us pledge to crack down on crack. Charles Rangel made similar statements. The whole thing, again, as McDonald points out, what's happening is that the efforts that law enforcement has made to help the black community survive this epidemic of crime is that they get called racist. And it's nonsense, especially when you think about the difference between powder cocaine and crack cocaine. Powder cocaine, they got discrete phone transactions. Everything was done quietly. The crack distributors were carrying submachine guns. They were mowing people down in the street. It was destroying. Crime. Poverty does not cause crime. Crime causes poverty, and those neighborhoods were devastated to the point where people couldn't function. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't walk out of their house without fear of being shot down.
And that all said, Alex, let me stop you there because we need to go to break. We're going to go to break. When we return, we got Niger Innis with us, and also we got 3 stories of the week we're going to go through. AllStar Collision, AllStarCI.com brings us those big stories of the week. We'll be right back after this break.
The true patriots of AllStar Collision have been proudly serving the Inland Empire for over 20 years. Built on honesty, integrity, quality, and old-fashioned customer service, we offer lifetime warranties for our work, and every vehicle serviced by AllStar Collision is washed, detailed, The headlights polished, fluids are checked and topped off, safety checked, and returned in showroom condition. We offer free estimates, are approved by major insurance companies, and accept all claims for all cars and trucks. We use computerized frame straightening to factory specifications, offer fiberglass body repair and paint, free local pickup and delivery, and after-hours towing. Mention this radio program at drop-off and receive $100 off or a free rental car for up to 5 days during your repair. Visit us at allstarci.com or at 522 Railroad Street in Corona. Call us at 951-279-9161. We are the kings of wreck and roll.
Conservative Voice Radio on KMET 1490 AM is brought to you every Saturday at 8 a.m. by Antonia's Pizza, located in Cherry Valley Realty, and the Banning Beaumont Cherry Valley Tea Party.
Hi, this is Ed Hoffman, President, Wholesale Capital Corporation, your direct mortgage lender. Real estate prices are still low, which means now's the time to buy your next home before they go up. Whether it's a home to live in, a vacation house, or an investment property, we can meet your mortgage financing needs to help you realize the next phase of your American dream. At Wholesale Capital Corporation, we make sure you get a loan that you can afford with terms that work for you. Wholesale Capital welcomes FHA buyers, conventional buyers, jumbo loan buyers, and we proudly help the U.S. military veterans take advantage of the zero down payment VA loan program. Nobody treats veterans better than Wholesale Capital Corporation. Seniors, if you're interested in creating an additional stream of income or just making your mortgage payment go away with a reverse mortgage, Wholesale Capital would love to help you. To speak with a loan officer who has your best interests in mind, call Wholesale Capital at 855-640-2020. That's area code 855-640-2020. Wholesale Capital Corporation, where we can close.
And welcome back, Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs, right here on KMET 1490 AM, your inland voice. And I tell you what, this is the station to be on Saturdays. Conservative Voice Radio, Constitution Radio, and a bunch of other great shows. Now, if you want to listen live, but you can't get the video, that you cannot get the airwave on 1490 AM, that's okay. Download the app into your phone. Make your phone smarter. Get your KMET app. Go to KMET1490am.com. Get your app, or you can listen live online, KMET1490am.com. Find our page, Constitution Radio. You can also find the podcast page. And, of course, you can always go to politicalpistachio.com or douglasvgibbs.com to learn more on how to find the podcast. We are with Niger Innis, the national spokesperson for the Congress of Racial Equality, CORE. We are broadcasting live from Las Vegas. And as a matter of fact, it is time now to go through our big stories of the week. We have 3 of them, and I'm going to keep Niger with us. I'm sure he has a few things to say about what's going on in the news. And, of course, we got Alex. And, Alex, I definitely want your comments on the next couple. South China Sea Showdown. There is satellite evidence that China has been putting military weaponry on their 7 artificial islands. What's your thoughts, Alex?
Well, Reagan said it best. He said, peace through strength. Obama has destroyed our military. He's built us down to pre-World War II capacity, and as a consequence, all the bullies in the world are now lining up to take advantage of that vacuum. It's real simple.
When it comes to founding fathers, too, it was strength. It was very important that we had a good, strong military. In fact, you look right there in the preamble, one of the 4 reasons for the creation of the Constitution of the federal government was common defense, right?
You shouldn't need to use your common defense. You should be strong enough that people won't mess with you. But they know now we're built down to almost unable to function. We're using museum parts for our aircraft.
Well, here's part of the difficulty, too, is, and this started in the 70s, we have come to believe that the Chinese are the good communists. as if there's such thing as good communists. Okay, Niger, you had a little chuckle there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's look, I understand why Nixon in the 70s did his little strategic triangulation and pitting the rivalry between, or using the rivalry between the Chinese communists and the Russian communists, or the Soviet Union communists, against one another in our juxtaposition. But in our, what we forgot, though, is that at the end of the day, they are still communists and still an authoritarian government. And granted, they're incorporating a lot more of the free market, or at least free market benefits, while preserving a strong dictatorial authoritarian regime for the government, and certainly not promoting constitutional democracy or republic as we have here.
Niger, you know what that's called? It's called fascism.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. And they're testing our new president-elect, Donald Trump, like they always do. Whenever we elect a new president, it did this beginning of Obama. They did this beginning of Bush, W. Bush, and they will. I think this is one episode among many. I understand that a pod that we had, some type of exploratory pod that we had in the ocean in the South China Sea, was stolen, was actually captured by a Chinese vessel and stolen. So they are trying to be provocative to test.
Without repercussion.
Without any repercussions.
Yeah.
And they are looking to test our new president. And I thank God that the person that's going to be walking in to the Oval Office to deal with these questions and these challenges our country faces is a Donald J. Trump, as opposed to Hillary Rodham Clinton.
And the thing is, we also saw Russia take the Ukraine, take Crimea, and down a passenger airliner once again without any response or any repercussions. And that goes back to, hang on a sec, Alex. That goes back to also this idea that the Russians wanted Trump in office. No, that makes no sense. That particular narrative absolutely makes no sense, right?
What I'm saying is that Obama, by backing down each time, has put us in a strategic position from which it is going to be very difficult to extract ourselves, even with a man like Trump.
True enough.
We're just in a. It's kind of like the economy. The guy he doubled our national debt, and Trump is going to have to try to do all these things that he's talking about doing with a debt that's an albatross around our neck.
Oh, and this brings up another one of the smoke and mirrors moves by the Democrat Party after this election. The other thing that when we talk about the accusations of Trump, aside from Putin wanted him in office and all that, is the white supremacy smoke and mirrors. Okay, he's a white supremacist. He's given a voice to white supremacy, and
they
then
call it alt-right. So
the alt-right, yeah. And we've got this new alt-right movement, and they all love Trump. And then they've got video of it. And they've got video of Trump supporters going nuts on a plane and all sort of stuff. Which now, before we start believing any of that, and this goes back to what Alex was mentioning earlier. Back in 1972, there was an interesting situation that arose. Now, the name of the book that it comes from, what was the name of the book that this quote comes from? Not
Obama's Rules for Revolution, the Alinsky model.
Rules for Radicals?
Let Them Call Me Rebel, I think it was.
Oh, the biography was Let Them Call Me Rebel, and that's by a guy named Sanford Horwitz, which is he's not a relation of Horwitz.
Yeah, and he and this is a biography about Saul Alinsky. Now, real quick, read what happened in 1972, and folks, remember what I just said about this evidence of white supremacy by the Trump campaign and all this other stuff. Think about that as you listen. All right, go ahead, Alex.
Okay, it says here the students told Alinsky they were thinking about picketing or disrupting Bush's address. That's the wrong approach, he rejoined. He told them instead to go hear the speech dressed as members of the Ku Klux Klan, and whenever Bush said something in defense of the Vietnam War, they should cheer and wave their placards reading KKK supports Bush. So for 44 years, they've been pulling this same masquerade and getting away with it. But worse than that, to me, is that the left has managed to paint the Republicans as the racists, when every racist activity, whether it's the internment of the Japanese or the March of Tears or the Ku Klux Klan, it's all Democrat, 100%.
Remember, it was the Democrats that filibustered against the Civil Rights Act. Remember, it was the Ku Klux Klan was created by the Democrat Party as a militant arm, and then we're told, well, yeah, but wait a second, that was the Democrats then. It's changed. Well, we've got even recent examples of racism. We can even talk about how the welfare system itself really is a racist system.
And neo-slavery. It is indeed a neo-slavery, and you're absolutely right about the sordid racist history of the Democrat Party and the fact that the Republican Party was a party founded largely to free the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so one might say it's a shame that in this last election, and granted it was better than it has been, that 9% of the black community voted for the Republican Party, because it can legitimately be argued that if it were not for the plight of the black American during slavery, there would be no Republican Party. And if it were not for the Republican Party, black folk the history could be quite different than what it turned out to be with the Civil War and the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments.
Well, one of the arguments I think Trump sort of put across that some black voters could resonate with was the Democrats have been in charge of your cities.
That's right.
For 50 plus years. Is your life any better?
That's right. And what the heck do you have to lose?
And what do you have to lose? There you go. All right. Final comments on this topic, Alex?
Well, the welfare state was created by the Democrats to buy votes. And what they did was they created a situation where today nearly 80% of black families, there is no man in the household. And as a consequence, we know from statistics and studies that these kids don't have a chance. You got to have a dad to raise a boy, and into a good, upstanding, decent man, and these communities are robbed of that family structure. As a consequence, they're in terrible, terrible trouble that we don't know how to get them out of.
And we got our final subject story here, and I named it "The Art of the Presidency." Now, understand, and you listeners know this, but new listeners, I want to bring you up to speed here. When the 17 Republican candidates were there, Mr. Trump, I have to admit, was number 15 on my list. I was not necessarily a Trump fan per se. Now, that said, when he wound up winning the nod for the Republican Party, I was like, okay, he's not Hillary, number one, so he's going to get my vote, but I want to learn more about this person. So one of the first things I did is I read The Art of the Deal. And here's what I've learned watching what he's doing. Everything he's doing is in that book. This is a huge poker game, and he's calling their bluff. And, from his cabinet picks to his tweets to some of the things that we hear him say where we go, gosh, I wish he'd shut his mouth. No, it was carefully crafted to get a certain response from the left. The folks on the right, they know what he meant. And so I'm watching this, and it's an art form. Mr. Trump has been artfully positioning himself not only for this movement of that we're sick of the establishment, but of really establishing a position where he can turn America around.
I think that's exactly right, and I think the history books are going to be full of analysis of this extraordinary presidential year, presidential cycle, which really started in 2015,
right?
And how Donald Trump beat first the establishment of the Republican Party, then beat the media, the Democrat establishment, large segments of the Republican establishment that forgot about the pledge. You remember?
Right.
So ironic, that Fox News debate where the Chris Wallace asked, will you all sign a pledge that if you are not the nominee, you will support the eventual Republican nominee? And ironically, the only person who did not raise his hand of the 15 or 16 candidates on that stage was Donald Trump.
Right.
In fact, there was a big fanfare because Reince Priebus went all the way up to New York, and like Neville Chamberlain came out with a signed document saying Donald Trump had signed the pledge.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's amazing that the media, I'm sure you've talked about this and Alex has talked about this, but the mainstream media has not held these other guys that had been candidates for president in the Republican Party accountable for signing that pledge.
The truth doesn't matter.
No.
Only the agenda matters. These guys have gotten so good at deception that, as Heinlein, the science fiction writer, wrote, that they could cheat at solitaire. I mean, it's because the agenda comes first.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter what their original ideals were. This agenda of collectivism or whatever it may be, even if it's been proven wrong, well, it's just because we haven't had the right collectivists in place, and so they're so blinded to the truth. And that's where, I come in with Constitution and history and all that, as I talk about this truth that has been proven time and time again. And it's amazing what happens when people hear the truth is they start to doubt the lies. Alex, we are almost out of time, and so before we say our final adieus here, go ahead and plug what you do.
All right, conservativecannonade.org. We're adding things every day. Check it out. In the meantime, remember that David Horowitz said that the leftist says the issue is not the issue. The revolution is the issue.
And Niger, final words to the audience?
Well, final word. It's great to be on your show. Hope to do it again. And I think the truth is on our side, and consequently, the wind is at our back. And what we have to do is break out of our own isolation and do what you and Paul and Alec by remote are doing, which is coming to the communities which need to hear the gospel of free markets and capitalism and of our constitutional Republican Constitution.
And I am Douglas V. Gibbs, your host of Constitution Radio right here on KMET, politicalpistachio.com, douglasvgibbs.com. United we stand, combined we kick butt. God bless America, my friends. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Thank you for spending the time with us. Bye-bye now.
The preceding was a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
This is 1490 AM KMET, Banning, Beaumont, Redlands, and Palm Springs. News, talk, sports.
From migraines, don't wait. Call 800-MIG-7354. That's 800-MIG-7354.
The Constitution is America's owner's manual. Douglas V. Gibbs is America's Constitution Authority, broadcasting live on KMET, AM 1490, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Weather woes across the country causing major accidents on the nation's highways. In New Mexico, some 40 vehicles involved in a pileup between Santa Rosa and Tucumcari. And in Baltimore, at least 2 people killed and several others injured after a crash involving dozens of vehicles and a tractor-trailer shut down part of I-95. Chief Roman Clark with the Baltimore City Fire Department.
There was a tractor-trailer that actually went over the embankment and is down.
Went off the bridge and fell onto the street below where it burst into flame. Questions mounting about whether the results were influenced by Russian hackers of the election. President Obama pointing a finger at